children in order to sell them.
Our own government is facilitating the absolute destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
I'm not hiding anything, but I was definitely hiding my plan to go interview Putin just because it's an interview.
So how did that happen?
Business.
How do you know the NSA broke into your signal?
Because they admitted it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like, can you tell us about that? Like, how did you find out?
I got a call from somebody in Washington who would know, just trust me, so I went up there for another reason, but this person said, you know, are you going to come to Washington anytime soon? This was a year and a half ago. And I was like, yeah, actually, I'm going to be up in a week. Meet me Sunday morning. So weird. Like, who does that? Just text me. You know what I mean? Just text me. No. So I go and this person's like, and this is someone who would know. Are you planning a trip to go see Putin? This was the summer before the war started. And I was like, how would you know that? I haven't told anybody. I mean, anybody. Not my brother, not my wife, nobody. And just because, you know, it's one of a million things you're working on. But that was one of them. I want to go interview. Why wouldn't I want to interview Putin?
Of course.
I want to interview Xi. I want to interview everybody, right? Yeah. That's kind of my job.
We want to get Kim Jong-un on here one day.
Of course. We met him.
You did?
Yep.
Oh, we got to talk about that after. But
super interesting. But anyway.
Holy shit.
How would you know that? Because NSA pulled your text with this other person you were texting. How did you know that? And so I was intimidated. I'm embarrassed to admit, but I was completely freaked out by it. I called a U.S. senator who I know, not that well, but it seems like a trustworthy person. And I told him the story. I said, I just want to tell you this. And then I went on TV on Monday and I'm like, this happened. And so they had, you know, in Congress asked NSA, and NSA is like, yes, we did this, but for good reason. What would be a good reason to read my, you know, what? But the head of NSA, it's fine. It gets, because everyone's in on it. Republicans and Democrats are all in on it. And by it, I mean the assumption there's no privacy whatsoever, that they have a right to know everything you're saying and thinking.
That shit's scary.
And that's just not a right as far as I'm concerned. You have no, by the way, if you have no privacy, you have no freedom. Freedom is predicated on privacy. It's like none of your business.
You don't even think about that. Like they can just go through your phone and find everything.
They did it to me, so I know that for a fact. But again, if you have no privacy, you have no freedom.
Yeah.
How about this? It's none of your business. If that's not a good enough answer, then you are a slave.
Carrell, I found that clip today because I was beginning to look at the NSA and then the signal and all that other garbage, which they're blowing completely way out of proportion, as typically the left is. They don't care about Afghanistan pullout and 13 killed soldiers and Marines and endless amounts of people they're blowing up. They don't care about the debacle of the open borders. All they care about is a signal that somehow now I'm very puzzled, and Laura Loomer's come out with her. She's incredible. If I was Donald Trump, I'd hire her that fast. And anybody that wanted to come in my cabinet had to go through Laura Loomer, and she's going to background. She finds out the deputy chief of staff, Wang, I think his name is, Chinese, wife is Chinese, helped the Sinzis, the J6, father-in-law is tied to the CCP, and it looks like he's the one that invited Goldberg, the writer from The Atlantic, into the signal chant. You can't make this up. You can't make any of this up, and you can't trust our government. You just can't trust them. Look, I just did a hit, if you will, on the Vault, our subscription based on Worldview Tube. I did a hit for the Vault on 9/11. I'm seeing more and more. I don't know if it's because I'm looking at my algorithms pushing it up more, but in Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, my websites I look, is more and more of the 9/11 pops up and videos that no one's ever seen before. And you question everything. And in my Vault monologue, if you will, my take was, look at what the left and the elites and the anti-American globalists, look at what they've accomplished. They took a nation where there's not one person in our nation that trusts another person in our nation. It's an accomplishment. I'm just going to tell you. They have lied to us for decades. For decades. Vietnam. Got to be there. I know 50,000 people died, but we had to be there. 9 out of 10 people in America now. Can you please pick out Vietnam on the map? No, you can't. Let me point out to you. It's all the way over here. How were they going to get to here in America and kill us? Well, that's absurd. They weren't a threat, but we gave 50,000 American lives. You want to see a monument that's powerful? The most powerful monument you're ever going to see. Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C. It is just black granite slabs, marble slabs, all black. And I don't know how long it is, but it's like a football field in my mind last time I was there. And it's 50,000 names etched in the marble, black marble. It's powerful because 50,000 is a lot. We go from there and we go to JFK. What? JFK was killed by a lone gunman. He's just some random dude. Oh, but we find out he's tied to the CIA. And then everyone around in that circle of handling them were for CIA. Nothing to look here. Don't worry about it. Like Ben Shapiro says, I don't really care who killed JFK. Oh, that should be your telltale sign right away that somebody in the sphere of Ben Shapiro, Israel, is involved. And then you go to the FISA court, where, wait for it, there's a secret court in Washington, D.C. that only certain people can go into to get warrants to search and have open warrants on communications for U.S. citizens, spying on U.S. citizens. 99% approval rate, rubber stamp. You think our founding fathers would ever allow that to happen? Do you honestly? You're gonna have that discussion with me and argue with me that our founding fathers on any level would agree to that abomination? No. And what does the Republicans continue to do? Republicans, we expect this insanity from the stupid demon Democrats. I understand that. The soulless, evil, baby-killing Democrats. Yes, I understand that. Steal the elections, lie, cheat, and steal $36 trillion. Yes, I expect that from them. I have just a higher level of expectation from the Republicans. However, I have been proven to be correct every single time that I should never give them any quarter because they're just Democrat light. Republicans continue to pass the FISA court. If I was president, day one, shut it down. Down now. Don't talk to me about the boogeyman in the Middle East. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear about your terrorists. I don't want to hear about all that crap. I don't care. You want a warrant? Go through the process. The process is there and it works. No secret court. Why? Because when you create something like that, it gets abused. And we've already witnessed it being abused ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. I pulled this up because it's 2 years, almost 3 years old, 2.5 years old. Andrew Napolitano is talking about the FISA court, and he's absolutely correct. Look at what we did. Think about it. Connect the dots, people. 9/11 happens. Buildings fall that should never have fallen. Building 7 just collapses because it's a strong wind that day. The jet engines created a whirlwind, and like the three piggies, it knocked that house, that building down because it was made of straw. That's what we were told, and we all believed it. And then what happened right after 9/11? Patriot Act. Patriot Act. Not one round was fired from our government out of their horrific weaponry, and we all bent a knee and gave away our rights for security. That is always how they're going to take our rights, is at the gun of security, at the barrel of security. Well, you're not going to be secure. All the boogeyman from the Middle East are going to come and kill you. Oh, like the Vietnam, those people that were living in grass huts. So the Middle Easterners that are living in caves and their transportation is donkeys and it's just some rusted old Pintos. They're going to come to America. How are they going to come to it? Well, they're going to fly jets, they're going to learn how to fly Cessnas and then get into the cockpit of a 737 or 747 and fly them into buildings. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then let's go spend $8 trillion and blow them up. You see the absurdity of it all? Watch this Andrew Napolitano interview.
As addicted as we are to our mobile phones, the government has turned them into spies, and they allow the government, if it wants to, it can click on your iPhone sitting next to you at your desk and listen to what you're saying. If it's off, they can't listen, but it can tell them where you are. Now, how did this happen? George W. Bush ordered the NSA to spy on everybody all the time after 9/11. And when Barack Obama picked it up, he heightened it. And then when Edward Snowden revealed it, they dialed it back, and it's now back to worse than it was before Snowden revealed it. But Congress has authorized it. Now, Congress can't violate the Constitution any more than the president can. So what Snowden revealed had been ordered by 2 presidents. What we have now has been enacted by Congress, and it's reenacted every 3 or 4 years. These sections have sunset provisions. I remember once President Trump called me and asked me if he should sign an extension of the Patriot Act. I said, "Are you kidding? This is the same statute under which the CIA engaged MI5, the Brits, to spy on you. I'm going to veto it." And then he announced he was going to veto it, and then all hell broke loose. And then he signed it, and then he called Rand Paul. He said, "Please tell the judge I didn't want to sign it, but they twisted my arm, and I really had no choice." So the intelligence community has so much dirt on so many people, from presidents to members of Congress, that they always get their way in violating the Constitution, and they always get their way in spending money. Then state governments picked up on this. So I'm sure you have these, you may not know about it. They're called stingrays. They're small towers about 15 feet tall, and they're set back from the side of the road. And they latch onto this as you drive by, and they stay latched on until you get to the next stingray. What does that do? That enables the police, if they want to follow you everywhere you go. All of this is violative of the Fourth Amendment because the Supreme Court has ruled that a search, which is what this is when they get in here or when they use this to follow you, requires a search warrant. So as upset as people were by the search warrant of President Trump's house, it is not judges who have been violating our Fourth Amendment right. It's the police and the executive branch.
Listen to what that man just said. It's a violation of your Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. He is absolutely right. Why did they attack into Tucker Carlson's phone? What was the probable cause? That he's going to have an interview with Putin? And no one said anything. No one, and everyone on the left just kind of clapped. Yeah, that's good. Let's get on Tucker Carlson. Never in their wildest dreams understanding they're tapping their phones too. Look, when I ran my units and I was in the Border Patrol, guys always wanted it. We can do this. No. This is the Constitution. These are the Bill of Rights. This is what we have. These are the guardrails. I don't care. You can bump up on those guardrails. Absolutely. Let's push the envelope. But don't step over the guardrails. It's a slippery slope. And then when things go wrong, you're out of policy and out of law. No one's going to have your back because you've been trained not to do that. And why would you want the government to have that ability? We have everything we need to have cases closed and arrest people. Let's just go through the process. People don't like to go through the process. So thus you have the Patriot Act and the FISA court. The effing FISA court. Are you kidding me? A secret court that you go to? Wait a minute. Before I continue, a secret court where the federal government, the same government that has lied to you for over 100 years, maybe more, but just what I'm able to historically go back to, lied to you since 1913. The Federal Reserve, bankers are running it. The income tax, well, it's only supposed to be for the 10 square miles of the District of Columbia, but now somehow we're paying it. Some people are paying, some are not. And the people that are not are laughing at the ones that are paying, going, "You're insane. Why are you paying money to the federal government? You don't have to. The income tax is not real." We're in the age of awakening. And once we begin to realize what our government has done to us and realize that the enemy of the American people is our own government. I give speeches now. I go and talk. I would say I'm now average about 4 or 5 speeches. And I say that when I give a speech, I say, look, I'm just going to tell you right off the back, I'm going to be very honest and blunt with you. I don't have a lot of time, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. My thesis on everything that I believe is that the federal government is the enemy of the United States of America. And I used to say that before Trump came into office, and people would go, yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I don't really know. And let me hear what this guy has to say. Now I say it, and everybody, I can look in the crowd, and everybody's like nodding, going, of course they're the enemy. Because look what Doge has been able to uncover. Doge has been able to uncover absolute, there's no waste and abuse. Let's just be honest. This is theft, fraud. Fraud is theft. They stole it. They stole all our money. Stacey Abrams had $100 in her nonprofit or NGO, and then prior to Biden leaving office, she got $1.9 billion. Not 1.9 million. Even then, I'd be like, dang it, look at her. But she got $1.9 million. That takes a long time to earn $1.9 million, but she got $1.9 million? That sucks. Let's take it away. No. She got 1.9 billion with a B. John Podesta, the alleged creepy pedophile, had an NGO for 4 months. Right before Biden leaves office, they infused $7.2 billion into his climate NGO. $7.2 billion. They tapped President Trump's phones. He said he was wiretapped. He used an old term. Everyone laughed at him. Nope, he was absolutely 100% correct. They were tapping his phones. And if you think they can do that to him, what do you think they can do that to us? And before you say, well, I don't really know. Oh, really? Let's look at January 6th. People that I know, that I've interviewed, January 6th, in prison for 3 years, tapped into their phones. They weren't even there. In prison. Patriot Act. God, I can go on and on. It's mind-numbing. All right. Before I get to my next guest, because he always makes me happy, Jason Sullivan. He's such an Irish salesman. He could sell an Eskimo ice cream with a smile, and the Eskimo would think this is the greatest thing the guy's ever done. He's the greatest guy in the world. And he always makes me happy. So I'll bring him in a second. So our first sponsor, Bella Grace. I always say, you want to support our show, let it grow, our platform grows, because we're not getting money from USAID like Politico, $7 million a year, or I think it was $12 million for Reuters, I think. So we're not the propaganda. So if you can help us, shop at shopbellagrace.com/truth. I love it. I'm using the elixir. I'm getting my niece, who is a starting or on the starting rotation in pitching and softball at a major university. She's beautiful, kind, nice. She's using the product now, and she's saying, I love it. I absolutely love it. So she's going to start doing my commercials for Bella Grace, because no one wants to look at my face. They can look at a beautiful young woman that's taking the same products and say, yep, I like to look like that. And I use, as is popping up on the screen, I use the restorative sleep. As Dr. Lucky has said on our program, the most major problem is the inflammation, lack of sleep, food, plastics in your food, water, everything, and you don't get good sleep. You have inflammation, and inflammation causes, I think it's like 70% of all health-related issues are from the inflammation. So I use the elixir. I'm taking it. I'm already down a week. I'm going to wait about 30 days to really tell you what I think. But everyone that takes it swears by it. And people that I trust, Melissa House and Brandon House, say that it is excellent. And they have to take it. So I was like, okay, let me talk to Bella Grace and see if we're aligned. We are aligned. Everything that about my program is being prepared for the world that's coming at you. And be healthy, because you can't be prepared to go into this war for the soul of America if you're not healthy. Just not happening. With that, I want to bring in Jason Sullivan to talk about masculinity and fatherhood. Jason, welcome to Truth. How you doing, buddy?
Really good. Really, really good. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, it's good to see you. And outside of politics, Trump's politics is my favorite thing is fatherhood. And I tie fatherhood into masculinity at the same time. And you and I share, you have 2 sons, I have a son, basically right around the same age. And we're older fathers. So we have a lot in common with that. But I go back and I say masculinity, true, honest Christian masculinity, or people that don't believe in God, just a strong moral masculinity is desperately, desperately needed in America today. Jason, I'm going to show you a video of J.D. Vance. This is during CPAC. I want to say this is, time kind of flies by. 2 weeks ago, maybe, then he gives a speech. He's talking about masculinity, and he's talking to young men. I want to just show you this clip. It's about a minute and a half, and I'd like to get you to comment on it, okay?
My message to young men is, I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is, don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. It's our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
Jason, what do you think about that clip talking about masculinity in boys and men?
You know, it's like so much there is, because I couldn't agree. I think we have to have masculine boys to become masculine men, because at the end of the day, there's bad people out there. And you and I know that from law enforcement. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you need to have that edge that boys are given, because someone's got to protect us, and someone has to be the strong. Someone has to be the heavy. My fear always is that I think we overcorrect. And I think we do this across the board in the United States. Mm-hmm. We've overcorrected from too far left, too far right, and we swing so far that we get whipped up into a frenzy. I can't stand the fact with all the transsexual stuff. It makes me absolutely nauseous, JJ. I cannot stand it. It's one of the issues that I have a lot of slugfest with my family, who are, as you know, are very, very far left. And I just say it's foolish, because you shouldn't shove it down our throat. Boys need to be boys. Period. End of story. I couldn't agree with them more, is the short answer.
But I do agree with you that yes, the pendulum's swinging, and we swung so far to the left. And I tell people on the left, when they had, quote, the power, I said, once that pendulum loses that momentum and it comes back right, it's going to be like a crushing blow. I mean, it's going to destroy everything in its wake. And then we're going to be on this hyper masculine, like, people are going to use masculinity to be, I'm going to beat everybody up. I'm going to show you that I'm the strongest. I'm going to impose my power. No. That's not masculinity at all. I think Jordan Peterson said it the best. He said, the most dangerous man, and he says, you want to be dangerous. You want to be an absolute dangerous killer, but you want to be that man that will put the gun in the holster, or put the sword in the old days, and the sword in the sheath, and don't pull it out, and be able to converse with people and have disagreements without being so physical and try to kill someone. Now, when that time comes, when I have to break leather or pull my sword out, and it's go time, then I don't hesitate, that I'm that dangerous. That is the man that I want my son to be. Do you agree with that, or do you push out back on that?
No, I 100% agree. 100%. What I can't understand for the life of me is why politicians from the left can't look at the American people and say, listen, we've gone too far with trying to bend for what is it? 0.00001% of the population that wants a sex change. And to bend so far to that, because I'm all for, helping people that are hurting, but to force the will of the vast majority of the United States into that subject matter is so detrimental because it creates such animosity and rage. And I mean, we see it for such an insignificant amount, statistical insignificance of the population. Now, why can't they say we're no longer going to be pushing this agenda, but at the same time, those of you out there listening, if you want to fuck around and hurt somebody because you don't agree with what they want to do and you want to discriminate against them, then we're going to drop the hammer on you too. I don't see why that can't be said. Stop putting money and attention and focus onto an insignificant part of the population that, frankly, I don't agree with. But at the same time, just let everybody else know, don't screw with those people. Don't screw with them.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And listen, now let's make no mistake about it. Any man who wants to become a woman or any woman who wants to become a man, and I don't care who you are, there is a psychological wire or malfunction. Something is deeply, deeply wrong and not aligned. It's just that simple. The parts were made, the dies were cast. I understand it's real. I don't debate that if someone feels it, but it is such a psychological just abnormality in every sense of the word. It sucks. It sucks because it really is such a small percentage of the population. And we see the statistics when they make the sex change and the suicide rates. It's horrible. Yeah. I'm all for boys being boys. And I want that, JJ. And I teach my boys the same thing. When I teach them simply protect those who need protecting, because I want them to be masculine. I want them to be tough, and I want them to be courageous and brave. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I talked to my son Joseph about this. I say, look, we see a man in a dress. We're not going to make fun of that person. We're not going to ridicule them. We're not going to bully them because they're sick, son. They're mentally ill. You don't make fun of people that are mentally ill. You show them compassion, but we're not going to sit there and clap and cheerlead for them and say, oh, yeah, you're a man. No. Dude, you're a dude wearing a dress. But here's something I'd like to ask you. And this is where I get upset about I have a lot of issues with the transgender, the masculinity, but this is where I really it really burns at me. And I wonder if you had this happen to you. When your son is young, there's this balance, this dance that we do as fathers where we're trying to protect them from that innocence. We want them they got the squeaky voice and they're just fun. They're just worried about cartoons and eating cinnamon coated cereal and drinking soda pop on Saturday. That's what you're trying to, but at the same time, the world is so grotesque right now that I started going from, innocence to reality, and now I'm full-blown reality and no innocence in a way. My son's 13, and I have to have conversations with my son, Jason, about transgenderism, gender ideology, homosexuality, and on and on and on and on that my father never, ever had to have with me. He would have been better off talking to me about Martians into space. I'd be like, what are you talking about, Dad? That I'm talking to my son, and it infuriates me because you made me take some of my son's innocence, some of that time frame of innocence, and I had to rip it from him because you people are so mentally ill. Did you ever have that feeling?
Absolutely. The evolution of where we become has robbed those extra years of innocence that we got to experience, where you get to have those moments of not having to be exposed to those abnormalities, the abnormalities. I can't say that.
Yeah, abnormalities. Yep.
Yeah, we've lost years because of it. We have to have discussions with our kids at an age that was unheard of generations previous, right? And it's not. And listen, the evolution of society, things happen bad and good, and we improve and we get worse, and we just happen to be on a little bit of a downward spiral. But yeah, I've had those conversations. Both my boys are 13 and 11. You know that. Both of them, we speak regularly about all of those issues. And sadly, I've normalized being comfortable with it because it has to be talked about. Right?
Yeah, it has to be talked about.
You and I were talking and something came up. the sexploitation thing about sharing pictures, nude pictures in school.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I sat down with both my boys at 13 and 11. I said, listen, if you guys think you're ever going to send, and I just said it, a dick picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what's going to happen here. It's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And let me tell you what I found out, what Dad found out was happening. And we see this on the news. You have males and females, they're taking their own lives because they're being exploited because of pictures where they think they're talking to someone and their feelings are on and the hormones are whipping up and they have this technology now. Hey, we can see each other's private parts. The next thing you know, you find out it's someone who says, hey, by the way, I got this and I'm going to send it to everyone you know and put it out there if you don't send me $3,000 or $5,000. Mm-hmm. And they come to find out that the FBI has done investigations down where there are actually groups of people in South Africa, I believe, is what I heard, where they actually, this is their sole job, to befriend adolescent boys, to con them into giving pictures of themselves so that they can in turn bribe them and extort money.
Well, you and I have a shared friend that happened to their son, and their son was, and she's telling me, and I'm sure she told you the same thing. Her son was like in convulsions, crying so hard, like, and she came in the room like, what is going on? And then it finally broke him to, he sent a dick pic, and he was they were trying to coerce him into sending money and everything else. This is real, Jason. This isn't one-offs.
But I'll tell you something and I hope everyone who's listening sees the one silver lining to this horrific quick story is if your son or your daughter, they don't feel that they can come to you at that time. Hey, they took the picture, they sent a picture. You got time to deal with that. But if the kids are afraid, right, because they felt so shamed to come to mom and dad, this is when the suicide happens. And I can't think of anything, JJ, worse than someone's own child taking their life because they couldn't come to mom and dad and say, I fucked up. I screwed this up, right? After I heard the story from our mutual friend, in my phone right now, I have a reminder. Every 2 months, I set a reminder, and it says sexploitation chat with the boys. It's a quick 60-second when I sit down and go, you guys are going to have more and more access to digital technology and social media that I cannot police. But I'm going to remind you because I love you so much. Do not put your private parts out there for the world to see. Wait till you're an adult like the rest of the world does and you have a loving relationship.
Great, Sully. But I know, because when I go into, I say, hey, Joseph, we got to talk about something. He goes, oh God. And I'm like, no, let's just, he'll talk to me about anything, Jason. We go to sex and I always, my fallback to him is that movie Kindergarten, and he knows it. Boys have penises and girls have vaginas. That's how I started out. And he starts laughing, and I go, we got to talk. And he's like, oh God, I don't want to talk. Well, we have to, because I've had conversations with my son where I'm like, okay, do you know what transgender is? Because we're listening to podcasts. And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, tell me. It's not even close, right? Okay, let's talk about this, right? And we talk, the sex. And I go, you can't listen to your friends because your friends are morons. Like, you're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about. They're telling you stuff. He's like, Dad, they tell me some weird stuff. And I go, it's weird because it's not happening. It's insane, Joseph, right? But you're right.
It's absolutely nuts.
But you are so correct. And even though it's awkward, your boys, our boys, your girls need to be able to come to you and say, Dad, I made such a horrible mistake, right? And then you don't explode. You just go, okay, what is it? All right, let's triage it right now. And now then you can have that conversation of, I'm disappointed, this can't be done, right? Blah, blah, blah. But there are kids, they're killing themselves, Jason, because they can't talk to their parents because they're scared to death. Because look, I try to do this. Do you do this? Try to remember what it was like when you were 13, when you were 11, and it's so long ago. You try to remember and try to put yourself in their position. The trauma they're feeling that we look at is absurd in the big scheme of life, but in their world, that's as powerful as us losing a job or getting cancer. It's the same perspective and feeling, and we need to remember that.
I told you last podcast, I'll say it again for any of the listeners, because this was one of the coolest things I got. I was scrolling something one day, and and they said, hey, I took a sheet of paper and I wrote to each of my boys, and you'll probably remember this when I tell you. And I said, listen, if you ever have something to tell dad, this is your permission slip that you can hand it to me before you tell dad. And what it basically says is I will not yell, I will listen, and I will not yell, so that they're not intimidated. And it doesn't matter what the circumstance. They each have one in their room, right? And I said, if you need to bring this to dad because you need to tell me anything at all, I won't yell once you hand it to me. I will listen with both my ears. I will listen. I will remain as calm as I can, and we will fix the problem, because you have to have something, because I can get as pissed off as the next person. And we as loving parents, we sometimes go from A to Z. It's so emotional. These are our kids. They hear something or they've done something and we want to blow our fucking stack, right? Well, I saw this situation and it said that in and of itself, if you remember with your pops, and I remember when my dad was around a little bit, we're scared of them quite often because we were more masculine. We were the disciplinarians. And if your kid is ever afraid to come to you, this little piece of paper that basically says, here's your permission slip for dad to just remain calm and not yell and listen. Okay. And I love it. And both of them have it in the room. And I absolutely love it.
That's a great idea. And I think this is why I think it's important for men, I want to hear psychiatrists and I want to hear professionals, but I really want to just have open discussions with dads, because we're living it. Right. But it's also, I heard too, Sully, the other day, and I don't know why I haven't thought of it this way, is men rarely tell each other of a good compliment, like to say, hey, Sully, which I believe, you're an excellent dad. I watch what you do. You're an excellent dad. We don't tell each other that. And a lot of times we all go through our fatherhood, being a parent, being a husband, being a provider, and we go through these valleys, right? We're like, God dang, man, what am I doing? And it would be so helpful if we had open conversations with our buddies about, I'm not talking about drinking wine and talking about our feelings and writing poetry. I'm just saying, hey, talk to your friend and say, hey, I just want you to know, I saw what you did the other day with your son. I thought that was amazing. I'm actually going to start doing that. That's powerful. I've had that happen to me 1 or 2 times in my life, and I thought, oh, that really was amazing to hear that somebody recognizes that I'm not perfect, but at that moment I was a good dad. And I think that's something very lost in our world of men.
There's a competitiveness that I think plays into that picture too, sometimes with men, where you're afraid to say anything or share anything. You just want to take it without acknowledging it. But I think dads should share those tips all the time. Right? It's a tough job. We all know that. And whenever you're talking, just go, hey, you know what? Our kids are about the same age. And did you have to talk about the birds and the bees yet? Because here's what I said, and it kind of worked. What do you think? Right? It's just great to have a conversation like that, because there's no book. Right? And my dad never had the conversation with me, ever. He was gone before he could. And so I never got that birds and bees talk. So I looked forward to it with my 13-year-old boy. The 11-year-old gets it, next year, because they learned it in school. So it kind of comes hand in hand. But it's nice when dads can share those tips and talk about it, because you do want to say, hey, that's a really good way you approach that. I like the way you said it, because I'm going to steal it. And I appreciate that. Right? We all want to be the best we can. And if we hear a good tip or suggestion, why not? But you're right. Men are inclined to not discuss stuff like that unless it just comes up organically. Walk into it.
Yeah, and I think that's why these discussions are so important, because I believe that the health and the success of our nation is going to rest with the men. I just do. That's the way God put the natural order. And I believe that the men have failed for a multitude of reasons. But I think there's awakening happening in America right now. And I think the men are waking up to realize that they caused this problem. Now they're going to have to fix it. So I'm excited about the future. I really am. But I want to thank you very much for coming. I love our discussion, Sully. And I'm hoping some men are watching this, and some women too, to realize the importance of a father and the importance of having a strong man in your life and in your kids' lives. It's invaluable. It's priceless.
It's critical. And thanks so much for having me on, JJ. I appreciate it. And sorry for the swears. I was a little bit raw tonight because it was a rough day.
Thank you. Jason Sullivan, best-selling author of Feather Sharpens Iron. I'll throw that up there in the link as well. Go to Amazon and purchase it. It's incredible read. It's a very quick read, and it's just Sullivan speaking on paper. That's it. That's my best sell for you is reading you speak. That's it. All right, Jason Sullivan. We'll see you soon. Thanks, brother.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, JJ. Keep doing it.
All right. Sully, awesome. Just an awesome guy all the way around. Feather Sharpens Iron. You can find it on Amazon. Just type in Feather Sharpen Iron and Jason Sullivan. Fast read, super, super fast. And like I said, it is, you want to just have an enjoyable time reading something and you can hear Sully's voice as you're reading his words. That's what makes it special. That just makes it special. Well, we'll go in for the next segment. I want to use this time to talk about Patriots Made. Patriots with an S, made.com, JJ/JJ. And why is this important? Patriotsmade.com/JJ, because I am asking you to forego the box stores, to save money, to go to an organization that sells Patriot Made products. No plastics, no metals, no anything, no hormones, no mRNA in your beef or chicken. No, just green. Isn't it amazing that the conservatives had to come up with something that was natural and green? Patriotsmade.com/JJ. Go give your money to organizations, companies that, number one, align with everything that you believe in. Believe in patriotism, believe in make it in America and sell in America and deliver to Americans. Patriotsmade.com/JJ. I think, Logan, do you have the clip of, Colonel Douglas McGregor? He's coming up on the vault. He's going to be released. This interview is going to be released tomorrow on the vault. You can go to JJ Carrell. You can go to worldviewtube.com/JJ. And this gives you access to everything in the vault. It could be branded houses, archived movies, videos, shows, whatever. And you just go with me. I have a weekly take. It's about 7 to 10 minutes on a topic that pops up on X or is a current event like the NSA deal today. And it has long form interviews with Dr. Juliet Engel, who is unfortunately sold by her parents into sex magic. First, the world, MK Ultra, then it's into sex magic. Had Doug Argo on there talking about fatherhood and masculinity. Had Todd Bensman, Ann Vandersteel, and now I had the privilege of interviewing somebody that I believe has an immense amount of wisdom, and that's Douglas McGregor. Let's just watch this short clip of our interview.
Truman deported over 2 million. Eisenhower deported about 1.5 million. Now, why? Is it because we didn't like them? No. It was for the reason that I just pointed out. And remember, after World War II, we had tough times economically. We were dealing with enormous debt that was a holdover from the Second World War. Fortunately, we had high human capital in the workforce. We still had a big manufacturing base, but it still was tough. Eisenhower kept all the spending under control. In particular, he kept spending on defense under control and on social, what I would call social matters. The bottom line is we have to get back to that. We have to understand that. And that means that you have to have a plan. I listen to Tom Homan. I met Tom Homan. I love Tom Homan. He's a great person. He's absolutely honest and he's totally sincere. Where's the plan, JJ? I want to see a plan.
I want to see it too.
Where's the strategy? Where do we go first? I'm happy to hear, we rounded up Venezuelan gang members here. We rounded up, El Salvadoran gang members here. That's fine. But that's not a plan. That's not a strategy. These are flashpoints, and everybody wants to step forward. I think the Trump administration is too fixated on wins that they can present to the American public. See, we're winning. We're doing this. See, we're winning. We're doing that. The American public is not stupid. Eventually, you're going to figure out, well, wait a minute. How many is that? How many people are we dealing with right now? And when you realize you're talking about 50 million, 30 million came over, we think, under Biden.
Correct.
You're talking about 50 million illegals. Now you have to make some decisions. I agree with this. First of all, I argued strongly before the election, you need to give everybody who is here illegally 120 days to get out.
Hey, Logan.
And tell them, if you register with us on the way out and you've committed no crimes, your record is clean, then we'll put you on a list and consider you for possible re-entry in the future. But if you're here after 120 days and you have not voluntarily left, as far as we are concerned, you are a criminal. End of discussion. You are going to be treated as a criminal. But in order to do that, you must first absolutely shut down the border.
That man is so spot on about everything. Everything. He was on Tucker Carlson, I think, a week ago. Killed it. Just killed it for an hour. He killed it again for an hour. He just, at the very beginning, I was telling him how much I respect him and that I believe that he has wisdom, that it's a commodity that has been cherished from recorded history. He became very uncomfortable because that's just the type of man he is. But I believe he is a man of wisdom. I would put him up at there, as I've said in this interview, with Patrick Buchanan and Victor Davis Hanson. I would. So go to the Vault, worldviewtube.com/JJ. Incredible interviews. I'm excited because I'm creating. I also have great help from Logan, who is I think he has a great title. I always screw it up, but for my show, he's the producer and he's awesome. And we're able to gather up. We're creating basically a library of incredible conversations. So go to worldviewtube.com/JJ. Go to the Vault. Now, it is Wednesday, and it's a fast week. And I'm looking at my clock, and my clock is just flying by. That's why I know I have a good show, is when it goes fast. But I'm going to have to go into the depths of insanity. And what is that? And my regular viewers know, Wednesday, we have to dive into the insanity of Libs of TikTok. This is Libs of TikTok Wednesday. I have four videos or three videos in one article. And I want to fuse this into the love connection. And I want to bring all four of these women in. So the single men that are in the studio, and if they're not, sometimes they run. Like they hear Libs of TikTok, they call in sick because they don't want to be involved in the love connection. But you can't fight love. Love just is what it is. It's love. It finds you. And these are four of the most interesting people that I have found on Libs of TikTok. And let me tell you, that says a lot, because when I type in women, Libs of TikTok, search engine, and go, it is a free-for-all of insanity. The very first one I'm going to show you, she's a lovely lady. And I think she is a lady, but I don't know for sure. But the pink hair, the absolutely crazy eyes, if you could just get past the crazy eyes, I think why the pink hair is so important, because it camouflages the crazy eyes. Now, how do I know this person's crazy? Well, let me tell you. Her name is Allison Dahle, Dahle, and she's a North Carolina state representative. And I'm going to read right from my phone because this is very important. She, I believe she's a he, she has introduced two bills. One bill to repeal laws that protect minors from genital mutilation surgeries, and another to repeal the North Carolina Parents' Bill of Rights. Now, why in God's name would you want to pass a bill that does not protect minors from genital mutilation? Whew. Let me tell you something. People that have been watching the show, I don't have to. but I'm just going to have to say it out loud because I have to say it out loud, say it out loud. These people are so evil. They are so sick. They are so deprived. They're so sexually perverse. And here's the thing. Here's the common denominator outside of insanity. The common denominator with all of them. All of them want to involve children. Everything they do involves children. Do you ever listen to heterosexual people, normal people? We go do stuff. It's never about, oh, we're going to focus on the children. We're going to focus on the children. The only time we talk about our children is, hey, how's the kid's grades doing? What tutor did you do? Is he going to band or is he playing football? Really? He's playing football? What league does he play in? Can you help me get signed up? That's it. No one's saying, hey, Bob, hey, Sue, how can we sexually mutilate our children? Hey, Bob, you think that's a good, where did you get your child, James, to get sexually mutilated? Sue, where did you get little Sarah get sexually mutilated? Here's a beauty. Here's an absolute beauty. Now, this I know is a dude wearing a dress with lipstick and insane eyeshadow, like she is just came from the premier drag queen, but she's a teacher. She teaches your children. Don't think that this isn't happening in your school. Don't think that this is an anomaly. I'm gonna quote Dennis Prager, who is a very wise man, very intelligent, has his own show. He's an incredible guy, Dennis Prager. Prager you. Dennis Prager says, run to your school, your public school, and rip your kid out of that school as fast as you possibly can. Play this, please, Logan.
Hi, I'm Rosie, Texas English teacher and transgender goddess, here with just a couple of thoughts about some gender euphoria that I've been feeling today. So for those of you that don't know, gender euphoria is the feeling you get when you finally feel comfortable in your gender, when something good happens and it just brings you a lot of joy and calm, and it's been happening to me a lot today. This morning, when I stopped at the gas station for my morning energy drink, I got ma'amed, which is so funny because I know that there are a lot of women who really don't like being called ma'am, but I like it a lot. It's so new to me and it's so wonderful. And it was such a small thing to make me this happy. And then at school today, I'm surrounded by kids. I teach sophomores, and I have these 15, 16-year-olds who are completely on board, who, when I told them I had changed my pronouns, jumped right into it. They call me ma'am, they call me miss. They use my correct pronouns and know my correct name. And it is incredibly affirming. So I guess my message here is, if you have any trans people in your life, it is so easy to show them love. So easy. All you have to do is respect them. Something as simple as calling a trans woman ma'am could be the thing that completely changes her entire day. It does for me. I've been out for 7 months and it never, ever, ever gets old. So I just want you to know, if you have trans people in your life, love them because it means everything to them.
Children, grown adult, need validation from her students. When you were growing up, ask yourself this question. Did you teacher ever talk about their sex life? We just assumed they had husbands and wives. No one talked about it. If they did, holy cow, the whole world would come to an end. But now my children have to fall in line with the mental patient bad play in Hollywood. Dear God, have we had enough, America? Have you had enough, America? Before you choose which chick you want to date, here's a beauty. Here's an absolute beauty. And I want you to understand, this is a mental health counselor. Could you imagine walking in for this first appointment? Go ahead and play this, Logan. What a beauty.
This client of mine is in their early teens, just entering puberty, and they have a clear understanding that their gender does not align with their sex assigned at birth. In therapy with me, they expressed their desire to explore options for starting hormones or blockers before their puberty advances further.
1 minute.
So with my guidance, their parents, who are loving and fully supportive, recently scheduled
Logan, you
an
can cut
appointment
it there.
with an endocrinologist to discuss an assessment.
She's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. She's gorgeous. Normal. Absolutely, I could see myself waking up next to her after a good night's sleep. Just feeling the stubble on her face, and yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. Thank God I'm married. Thank God I'm not in that world anymore. Let me show you someone else. This is a man, excuse me. It's so confusing. This is a chick with facial hair that now thinks that she's a man, and she's mad because her passport reveals it that she's a female, and she's losing it. Watch this if you can withstand it. And Logan, just play about 30 seconds of it, please.
Hey guys, so got my passport back. Guess what's not corrected? So now I'm a male with Social Security, a male with Medicare, a female according to my passport. I couldn't even make this video when I opened.
Not the best choices today. But love sometimes is difficult to overcome. Just get over the fact that your partner is a dude. My gosh, we live in the most insane times. Honestly, there's Sodom and Gomorrah look like, stealing a page out of your father's Playboy and sharing with your friends. That's what Sodom and Gomorrah was compared to this. This is hardcore, insane porn every single day. Listen, I watch that. I go through this process of getting these shows ready, and the thing that I do before I get on air is I take Pet Club 24/7. I take their mushroom in a capsule form because I know my gut is in turmoil, and I need to make sure my immune system is going, because there's days I'm just raging because the insanity that I see. Go to Pet Club 24/7. Actually, go to truthwithjj247.com. Truthwithjj247.com. It's all about your health. Incredible husband and wife couple that own Pet Club. It's for their tagline is the best pet, horses, and humans. And they give this in a pet form, meaning my dog Cinnamon gets it in Mojos, little kind of cubes that help her hair, help her immune system, help everything about her health. And she loves them. I open that bag and she's jumping like she's a jumping bean, and I give her a couple and she gobbles them down and loves it. And that helps her with her immune system. Great company. Truthwithjj247.com for Pet Club. Man, Logan, what a fast show. We're at 22 seconds. Remember, as you're going on your week, that we have to regain the moral superiority, the moral upper hand in this nation. And how do we do that? Is you get on your knees and you pray to God and you beg him for forgiveness, and you beg him to allow America to be great again. That's our prayer, to make America great again through God. Have a good day.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Hi, welcome to Code Blue.